It wasn't until I stepped my foot out of the door of my last radiation treatment that the financial chaos started.
The diagnosis of breast cancer, any cancer, is life-changing. Not only do thousands of families share the physical battle of their loved one, but they end up sharing a financial war. I'm Suzanne Stone, and this is the More Than Pink podcast. For Marla Blaylock and her family, the celebration of completing treatment was short-lived. Marla's an entrepreneur in the tech world, a mom, a wife. They have insurance and a home and all the right things. She should have been well-positioned to manage this. Her story highlights a frightening reality that way too many breast cancer patients face once treatment is over. Marla, share with our listeners a little bit of who you are.
Well, I am a 48-year-old woman who was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2013 and went through treatment and ended in 2014. And the cancer so far is all gone. I am a entrepreneur of a computer IT business that's been in business for 15 years. So I've managed to keep my company while I went through treatment and everything that went on. I am a mother of two. One is 19, who is actually on scholarship at a college in Florida and will work for NASA. And I have a 9-year-old who is a video game guru who works for 3 different video gaming companies as an intern.
Okay, you said you did say 9, right?
He is 9, yeah.
9. Okay.
And so he teaches parents and children how to play the game safely and how to build things and all kinds of stuff. So he has a good time doing that. I've been married to my husband 15 years this coming February, which is hard to believe, but it's true. And we're still going strong. Very happy. And he was my rock during the entire situation, this entire treatment plan. And I'm also a person who believes in giving back. I believe in karma. And I'm really goofy.
Fantastic. Well, I think it's probably the sense of humor that helps get you through a difficult time. So when you describe yourself, fairly typical family, except for the extraordinary talent from yourself, from your kids, obviously a very smart woman. And
I don't know about that one.
So when you're diagnosed and you're an entrepreneur, you have all these things going for you, and then it comes time to pay the bills.
Yes.
Tell me,
yes.
What is that like? I mean, surely that wasn't hard. You've got a support system. You're a really smart woman.
Mm-hmm. Well, the interesting thing was during the treatment, I didn't feel the financial burden. The hospitals and the doctors and everybody else around me who was involved in the treatment did not bill me. It wasn't until I stepped my foot out of the door of my last radiation treatment that the financial chaos started. And so as long as you're in treatment, you can get grants, you can get help of different sorts. But as soon as you step out and you think you step out and you're like, oh, I'm done, balloons, party hats, and all this other stuff, that's not what actually happened to me. And it's not what is happening to a lot of individuals, which is why I'm very passionate about choosing my cause, which is The bills came in approximately 3 to 4 weeks after I finished my therapy. When you're done with treatment, many women have said, and I experienced it too, you feel very lost, very lonely, and very afraid. Well, when I got those bills in, we had just fought a battle, and they were asking us to pay for the battle that we had fought, which is fine. It's there. However, the way that they proceeded along the path made me, number one, very angry, and number two, threw our household into an upside down state.
So when we talk about when you talk about chaos, Marla, can you give us an idea of what we're talking about dollar-wise? Did you have insurance?
Yes.
And so you did have insurance. And so, of course, the whole time you're thinking, well, my insurance is covering most of this.
Right.
And I'll have some co-pays along the way, and then I'll figure out the rest in a payment plan or something.
Right.
Over the course of the next couple years. So Can you give us an idea of what are we talking about? Is this $500? Is this $500,000?
This is in the midst of about $200,000.
That's chaotic.
Yeah, it is. The biggest problem was that the hospital billed 3 to 4 weeks after treatment, and then gave us 2 weeks to pay, and then put it on our credit report and sold it to bill collectors. So our credit was very, very good, and we could, manage things. But as soon as that happened, and it was all medical bills, my credit score tanked. We lost our home. We lived, we had food stamps. We went from being a family who was not well off, but well adjusted and well cared for, to being excited about going to a fast food restaurant out for dinner. We did food banks. We did medical care that was pro bono, which wasn't necessarily the best thing to do. And it was a fight. We wanted to give our children things. We couldn't do that. We had Christmas Santa from the church one year because of the amount of debt that accumulated from not just the medical bills, but the medical bills causing my credit score to plummet to the point where we didn't have any options. We didn't have any maneuverability as far as working with the banks or getting a personal line of credit to gather it all together and pay one price for it. Nobody, and still to this day, nobody will touch us with a 10-foot pole. We're working on it, but it's a very long process. Many people have declared bankruptcy because they just literally have had to, and they've lost everything. And I feel very strongly that this process that for some reason or other, and I don't know who decided to do this process, is ruining lives and families that have just come out of worrying about losing somebody in their family.
So
in life.
You come out of treatment,
yes,
excited on the other side.
You do.
And so there's no preparation. There was no preparation for this, obviously.
No.
When you came out.
No. No.
So when we talk about there, I know that there will be a lot of women listening, a lot of family members listening today, who will be thinking, okay, wait a minute, we're in chemo treatment number 3, or radiation ends next month.
Right.
We should get ahead of this.
Yes.
So I'm hearing you say absolutely.
Yes.
Talk to
You
us.
file
Yeah.
for every grant, every gift, everything you can find. You put in your application and put it in. I would recommend actually just keep putting it in every month. Just send in the same application every month until you get their attention. Because once that door closes behind you, that's it. That's it. You're on your own. So during the time of treatment, cancer patients need to have their spouse or whoever is helping them be an advocate for them in the financial world, which is contacting Komen Foundation for grants, American Cancer Society, Scott Hamilton's Fourth Angel. There are a lot of people who have grants out there and who are willing to help and give, but you have to be in treatment to do that. So I think one of the things that needs to change when a person is first diagnosed with cancer is let them get over the shock for a little bit, but before the chemo starts and everything gets crazy in the house because of that, or whatever treatment they're given, they need to have a financial planner or some kind of financial person go in and help them and search for these grants and help them apply, and because it is going to come, and it is going to come in the end. Yes, it will bite you in the end.
So for our listeners out there, when you go to our podcast page and you've downloaded this podcast, I want to let everybody know there'll be a list of resources right there. So
yes.
we're gonna list all those grants that Marla has talked about and a few others as well for you to definitely have access to. Now, one of the things you talked about, Marla, was that advocate, that financial advocate. So for you, it was your husband, I'm sure, and I do know, of course, there are thousands of women out there who don't have that, perhaps.
My parents were advocates. Just have somebody there who is willing to help you, and even just somebody who can just be willing to do the searching for you while you're dealing with getting ready for everything else.
And it's right. It's interesting because, most of the time we think about having that other person in the doctor's office to take notes about your health. Right? We hear that over and over again. Have somebody else there with you to take notes because you're not going to remember everything that they said. But what you also need is a person who's not only going to be that advocate for you from a healthcare side, but also from a financial responsibility side and understanding what's happening.
Right, and they can keep track of when the grant was sent in. Does it need to be sent in again? Who needs to be called? All these kinds of things, and the person needs to be able to do that because when you're in treatment, you don't remember a lot of things. Everything is a blur. And in order to make sure that you hit the marks on the dates of these grants and things, you need somebody there who has a calendar that says, "Oh, I need to check on this."
So you finish treatment. You are hit with this mountain of bills, and how do you continue your recovery, and what has your quality of life been like, and how do you feel like this financial burden has affected that?
Oh, I think it's affected it immensely. When I came out of treatment, I thought I was done. And this is one thing that some patients experience, not all, but for myself, I came out and I ended up with lymphedema in my left arm, across my chest and in my neck. And then I ended up with edema for the rest of my body. because of the chemo and the radiation. The insurance companies do not cover this the way they cover cancer. It is not mandatory that they cover compression sleep or that they cover physical therapy in order to, do all the things that you need to do. So ending in 2014, I really didn't end. I'm still continuing, and I'll be continuing probably for the rest of my life. Some people, like myself, ended up with chemotherapy-induced peripheral neuropathy, which is where you don't feel your hands or your feet, and then it spreads upwards towards the center of your body. So I still have that. So it didn't end for me. So you have all of these bills, plus you have a whole bunch of new bills from going to specialists, which is not inexpensive, to be able to manage the side effects, the permanent side effects in my case, that I have to deal with. So it was a double whammy.
Absolutely. So how are you today? How are you? What's going on now?
Well, we are we're hanging in there. We're hanging in there. We are trying to pay off the bills, which is hard because there are days that I cannot work. One of the things that really came out to me when I was speaking to several individuals about this was Medicaid will cover a lot of things if you're in financial trouble. The problem is that you have to be within a certain range of income bracket, and it's very, very low. If you go above that by $1, you don't get anything. You're on your own. So there again, you kind of get, like, oh, well, yeah, you got sick and you fought this battle, and now here, I'm going to punch you again. You need to be prepared to be that person that goes $1 over Medicare or Medicaid, and that's where I feel my passion for giving is coming, is to put together a program that works with banks to help cancer patients and survivors, because it's really a survivor issue, to be able to keep their house and keep their car and keep food on the table and keep the lights on. It's a challenge. I don't want anybody else to go through what our family has gone through. So I'm very passionate about it.
I can only imagine that for you, you've come out the other side of this, and as you said, it will be a lifelong fight. It's never really over.
Right.
For those families who have lost somebody because of breast cancer,
mm-hmm.
and for the next who knows how long, they're stuck with these bills to remind them every day of the journey. I can only imagine the powerful effect it has on the quality of life for the family that's left.
It does, because what happens is typically you come out, you're elated, and then there's a depression phase. Well, that depression phase is hit even further downstream, and a lot of times you can't get mental health help for the depression because you can't afford it. Because the psychiatric industry at this point is a self-pay. So they want $125 every time they see you, or more.
And if the choice is visit to the psychologist or food on the table,
food is going to be it. Food is going to be it. And so So it can really become a very, marriages can break up, which breaks families up. And I mean, it's very stressful.
What message, if any, would you have for the physician community? We have a lot of physicians on this podcast, and or for our healthcare leaders. What message would you have for them?
Have somebody on their staff that is a financial advisor. Just if it's the social worker, train them to make sure that they get the list of grants that we're going to put together. Make sure that part of the preparation for treatment is the financial part of the treatment, and alert them to what is really going on. Use the person in the office that handles the insurance to ask them the questions. Ask them what it's going to cost. What can they do to help? How can they offset the cost? All those different things, because each insurance company has its own little loopholes to get away with doing whatever they want to do. So my suggestion is use the insurance person as an advocate to fight for your benefits. Number two, fight for your benefits in person. I fight with my insurance company all the time. All the time. I'm at the board saying when they reject something, I go back and I appeal it every single time until they get sick of me and they approve it, essentially. And then the third is, if you have the ability to have a financial advisor, try and piece this stuff together that you're comfortable with, fine. If not, they really need to have somebody that understands this whole financial business and can help. And then at that point, because when you come out, if you need a line of credit and your credit is good, then get it. If you need to take a second on your house, just in case, do it. You can always, a lot of them have, no prepayment penalty if you give just cancel, pay off what you use of the loan and give it back. So that would be my big recommendation to the physicians and the medical community in general, is they've got to address this issue, because there are people saying, I have cancer, I can't get treated, I can't pay it.
And that's not something anybody wants to face.
No. No. And just make sure that there are ways of managing things, but it's been a long haul about that, and so I think as I work through this, I'm obviously taking a lot of notes and looking at, okay, what do we need to put in a package to help individuals such as somebody like myself in the situation I am in even now, come in and say, okay, we're going to scoop up these things and put them in a low-interest loan so that you can pay it, so that your credit goes back up, so that you can live your life.
Because the diagnosis shouldn't be shouldn't be a game changer. If you can fight it and win,
right.
You should get the chance to live after.
That's correct. That's absolutely correct. You should be able to celebrate your life. And a lot of people are not being able to do that, and that's not fair.
Sometimes the battlefield is full of surprises. Breast cancer battle is wrought with them. You need to find not only a person to help you walk through the physical minefield, but someone to guide you through the financial pitfalls which are on the other side, to advocate, to plan ahead, and to prepare. I'd like to thank the iHeart Studio for helping us make the podcast possible. To Mike, our engineer, thanks for pushing the buttons and turning the dials. And to the entire Komen Austin team and family for helping make this podcast possible. Thanks for listening. And until next time, do everything you can to be more than pink.